Do you see I changed the name for you?
No,
Yeah, it's the Wild and Wonderful Rock Racing in West Virginia.
That's great.
It's it's all I had. I didn't know. I was trying to
that
figure.
is great.
I was trying to figure out how to fit some quotes into the show, and I couldn't figure out where to put CPS took her baby.
They took my
They
baby.
took my baby. Oh God! All right, episode 17 of Out the Top, July 25th, 2023. We just got back from Good Evening Ranch in Canvas, West Virginia for our first ever trip there with the National Rock Racing Association. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. So hang on and hear about the wild and wonderful rock racing of West Virginia.
3, 2, 1, hit it!
All right, here we are back again in Rock Life Studios. I've got Dan with us via the interwebs. Like I said, we just got back from West Virginia for our first ever trip for the National Rock Racing Association. My first time actually even going to West Virginia. I've been through West Virginia, but never actually to visit. What's your thoughts, man? What do you think about the weekend?
It was a show, and this, kind of likewise for us. This was my first time in West Virginia at all. Been to Virginia, but never to West Virginia. But I tell you what, there's some pretty scenery up there.
It was as soon as you cross the river there in Ashland, going into, of course, we come through. You come a different way. We come through Kentucky, of course. As soon as you cross the river in Ashland, Kentucky, just past Rush Offroad, it changes. The whole landscape changes. It's like two different countries.
Right.
I mean, just hills and rivers and very pretty landscape. They do like their police there, I noticed. So the old toter was speed limit the entire way.
Right.
I was getting a little nervous every mile or two seeing a state trooper or a sheriff. But man, it was a beautiful place. I really enjoyed the park. I didn't get to get out and adventure around the park as much as I'd liked. But it looked like a really nice place, what I seen.
Yeah.
I know some of the guys went riding, said they had some really nice trails. You could go down to the river. What'd you think of the park, of the facilities?
Man, I think it's a really nice place, and I think it's actually got a little bit more potential than anybody could give it credit for. Unfortunately, when we were talking to the owner, he said that they're recovering from COVID, and he has intentions on getting the swimming pool back going. There's a restaurant on site that he wants to get back going. So when he was telling me all this, it's like a light bulb went off in my head. It's like, this is the East Coast version of Mid-America.
It very
Possibly.
well could be if he wanted it to be that way.
That's right. Unfortunately, it's still like a 12-hour drive.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it's a little closer for me, but for you, you're kind of, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Now, for me, I would much rather drive there. It was about a 5.5 hour drive from the shop, so it's not a big deal. But the restaurant, I think they did open it for the weekend, Friday, Saturday. I didn't get to go. He was telling me about the pool as well. Said COVID kind of shut that down, and he just hadn't had the time to spend getting it back up to par. But he's hoping to have it back open for next year. You know, this place does. They were, we left Saturday. There were still events going on. They were doing, I think they said barrel racing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a horse ranch as well. So I don't know if they were doing horse racing or if they was racing side by sides, but I heard they were doing barrel racing.
Right.
Yeah. Concert Friday night. I don't know if they were having another concert Saturday or not. All kinds of cabins. The grounds. I feel so bad for the people that have to come behind us.
Right.
Because it had rained for a solid week. And then rained Thursday night there. And the place is so manicured. And then we just come in especially around the event area, and just destroyed their yards.
Right.
So,
Yeah. The when we went into the park, like you said, everything was nice and manicured. Uh, the park, all the roads throughout the park, around the campground or the office, restaurant, pool area is mostly asphalt, and then it turns to gravel down close to where some of the hookups for RVs are and stuff like that. And all the grass was nice and pretty and green up to the asphalt when we got there. And then we were pulling out Saturday afternoon. There was mud covering the roads, and the grass was eat up on the sides of the road. It just, like you said, I kind of feel sorry for the maintenance guys trying to clean up behind us. So want to go ahead and tell everybody we're truly sorry for that.
well, there's only so much you can do when you put a bunch of racers in a small space, and then rain on top of that. If
Right,
it had been dry, it wouldn't have been near as bad. But I know when we pulled out, just the truck and trailer, there was ruts through that field where we got there on Thursday, and it sucks, but that's part of it.
right,
Wish we could have got down to the race hills because man, got down there Thursday, went and looked at the race hills. Would have loved to have been set up down there amongst everyone. Didn't
right,
get that opportunity, but had the second best spot I guess we could have. We were up at the top, at the very top of what would have been the Bounty Hill and all that.
right,
But man, those race courses, when they said we were going to West Virginia, I didn't really know what to expect because I know there is mountains that, there's an abundance of them,
right,
but they're all vertical, like vertical.
right,
And so I was kind of nervous about the courses. The stock class and the cup class, that may be my favorite course we've ran in a long time. It had a little bit of everything, but that rock garden section all through there, that's my cup of tea. It's
right,
slow, rough, but once again, I don't drive. I don't have to feel the soreness the next morning of beating through that rock section.
right,
But I enjoyed watching it. I mean, I do think that was one of my favorite cup stock courses that we've had in a long time.
right. I don't think in each class, I don't think everybody had the same line picked out. And it was kind of interesting to see. Some of the guys went. There was so many different lines. It's like so many guys went right, so many guys went left. There was two big rock obstacles. A lot of guys attempted the big rock obstacles, and uh, some people just opted to go around it. But it was definitely a change of pace for us this past weekend.
I liked it. Like you said, there wasn't a you have to go this line. It
Right,
was here's your route. They did have the course kind of taped off, but it was very vague and very open, very, very wide. You could take
right,
anywhere in between the tape you wanted to go. And like you said, coming into the initial part, there was two or three different lines you could take. Then you went up the hill and you come back down. And I was really surprised on that downhill on the back side of that. There was a couple different lines. One of them would have been real sketchy, and I'm really surprised somebody didn't try that.
right,
Because there was some people down there stacking rocks on Thursday to try and make that turn. So it was just wide open. You come out of the rock section, you go get out in this big old field, you run wide open, jump this other big rock, turn around, come back, and then you're right back in the rock garden again.
right,
So it had a little bit of everything except a big hill,
right.
and I'm okay with that in the cup and the stock class.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and then Clyde did throw a kink in things. It was, there was a technical climb in the cup class, and he was going to do that for the stock class, but we voted it down. But it was probably like a 6 or 7 foot tall rock ledge, and I just didn't see a stock rig climbing that. It just with I take that back. I could see one climbing it, but you would just about destroy the machine. to do so.
You talking about the little jump up that the Cup class went up?
Right.
Okay, yeah, that would have been. Brandon ended up. He did make it in his X3,
Right.
which a lot of people were real sketchy. Real skeptical that he would be able to make that, but he did. But some of the shorter machines, man, there's no way.
Right.
A stock 2-seat Razor, there's no way it was getting up that. It was going to belly. So I'm glad they altered it for the stock class. But man, I'm telling you, that was my jam. That's what I grew up
Yeah.
doing, rock crawling and stuff like that. And that was rock crawling on speed just a little bit. Bounty Hill, or let's skip ahead till Saturday. The Bounty Hill, Big Bouncer Hills. The first course was a lot more of that. You crawled this rock garden, up a hill, down a hill, back through the rock garden to the finish line. Pretty uneventful. UTVs didn't have a whole lot of trouble. The big bouncers, once they started playing on that hill, once the first one had trouble, it changed. It changed quick.
Right.
And we got to see, man, there's a lot of hearts broken right there after watching people it was just all that loose dirt. And once the first one gets up there and slings it out, then it makes it so much more difficult on everybody else. But the first hill was fairly tame, in respect to what was going to be hill 2.
Right.
6 people all weekend finished both courses, or
Right.
on Saturday. 6 people. That's bouncers and UTVs.
Right.
4 of them were UTVs, because they had the luxury of going first before the bouncers. If the UTVs had to go after the bouncers, not happening.
Right. And even we did see that with the first few UTVs that went up it. Like we knew that hill was going to deteriorate fast. And every time somebody attempted it, I would just cringe just because, the first 3 guys that were able to attempt the hill basically were the only 3 to go up it.
Yeah, there was. I think there was 4 UTVs made it, but you had a couple get up there and had trouble and dug it out, and then you had, and we can talk about this a little bit. Friday night, Madison was trying the hill out, and I don't blame her.
Right.
Nobody told her not to. But on a hill like that, you don't need anybody on it before race time, and your running order needs to be respected, because the way hills like that flow, drawing an early number is an advantage.
Right.
If you're a late entry and you're supposed to run in the back, then you need to run in the back.
That's right.
I mean, that's just, and I know there was some confusion over where the late entries ran in the UTV class.
Right.
I don't know who that falls on, but
yeah, I was disappointed in it because, usually whoever draws number 1 slot chooses whether the late entries run in the front or they run in the back. And that is supposed to, or from my experience in the past, that flows with both hills. If Joe Blow is number 1 and he says, I want the late entries to go first before me, then they run however many late entries are. If there's 3 or 4 of them, they'll run those 3 or 4 guys or girls before Joe Blow runs on hill 1 and hill 2.
Yeah, it's kind of an incentive to get signed up on time.
Right.
That way you can get a number picked, you can draw. The late entries, depending on the course, sometimes you might want to use the late entries as a test dummy.
Right.
Sometimes on a hill like what we had this weekend, you would want them to go to the back because you want to be closer to the front. And then I know we had a couple people that run out of order. Not a huge deal, but still.
Yeah.
There's a reason for it.
Right.
And we need to get that sorted out.
Right. And that's kind of what, kind of I've been on the fence about addressing this or not, but it just, I was aware that the hill was going to deteriorate. And then when I had two guys go in front of me that were supposed to go behind me, that ended up costing me a win, or no, I'm not going to say a win, but that ended up costing me a finish, and it definitely cost us broken parts this weekend.
Well, it definitely didn't help things for sure. Because you should have been the third one up it,
Right,
so it still should have been pretty fresh. And who knows? We may not have made it no ways, but
right,
it
yeah.
it it
But
yeah.
but that's not how I want to win by cutting corners.
No, no, and some of the, like I said, I don't know who this falls on. I don't know if it's people lining people up, people just throwing their hands up, going, "Yeah, get in line, go," or if I don't know who to put the blame on there, so I'm not going to call anybody out by no means. But we have an order, we need to stick by it. We have a whole show on Sunday nights, guys. Watch it.
Right.
All right, so we've talked about the event as a whole. Let's get into your weekend. We'll start with your Friday runs, stock class, cup class. You want to talk about how you done? Um, just kind of go over what you thought about your runs.
Yeah. I actually don't know how we did it. we we had some technical difficulty in the stock class, and my idea was to go to the right side and hit the rock ledge and go right up it and keep going, no problem. But I hit it and it felt too good, so I didn't know what was going on.
Oh, you were climbing
After
it.
Yeah, I was going and it was going too good, and I knew that wasn't right, so I backed off of it. So, after watching the video, if I would have stayed in it just a half a second longer, I would have been golden. But it just didn't feel right for some reason. So we backed all the way out and went left around the rock, and about three-quarters of the way through the rock section, everybody's flagging me down that I have broken trailing arm or something's going on. But I was like, well, I'm still moving, so let me just baby this thing and see what it'll do. And I was like in low gear, 5 miles an hour through the whole course, and got through the finish line. I was like, okay, well, at least I got a time. That's what I was mainly worried about. I didn't want to get a DNF. So the cup class was right behind the stock class, so I ran it up to top of the hill to you guys, and I couldn't have furthered the race day without the help from you guys getting me situated. And come to find out, we had broken a radius rod bolt, which is that one of those little gremlins that only I believe I'm the only one that just breaks a bolt. And we broke a shock eyelet, so we ended up swapping the shocks from the cup car to the full body to run the classes. So we were able to compete in both classes. Ended up getting a time for the first hill in cup class. Then we swapped the shocks, ran the second hill for the stock class, and wound up in fourth place overall for the stock class for the day. And then swapped the shocks back over to run the UTV Cup. And I'm not sure how we finished in Cup, but I was thinking that that full body is so tough, and we were able to limp it through the course, and it broke. So I was more or less trying to save the car rather than go fast, because I'm not a really good driver when it comes to the rock gardens and those technical climbs. All I know to do is go wherever the car wants to and just give it the gas, and it would throw us all over that rock section. And it felt like being in a 30, well, it felt more like being in a 3 or 4 minute car wreck. I mean, it was just tough on me.
When you
But
come through on the stock class, the first run, you come up and you climbed the rock and then backed off of it. And when you come around the other way. I come around the tree and through the little rock garden. I mean, you were getting on it. You were getting nasty with that deal. And you come around the corner to go up the little gravel hill, and I seen that tire laying.
Yeah.
And I was there taking videos and stuff, and I was like, well, there's no way. He's not going to finish. So I knew we were going to have to work on the car, so I just ran back up to the trailer, and I called Jody. And I said, Jody, tell him to get the car up here to me, and we'll fix it. We've got the parts in the trailer. We'll fix it. Jody said, okay, but he's still running. I said, what? She's like, yeah, he's going to try and finish. I said, there's no way. There's something is going to fall off of that damn thing. And somehow or another, you finished, then drove it up to me. The shock had wedged itself in the trailing arm somehow. I don't know how the shock didn't dislodge and bend the shock shaft. It just broke the eyelet. The bolt come out. You know, we didn't. Once we found the bolt that we needed, we were back together in no time.
Right.
And then we had it set up where we had we were zip tying the shock can to the cage, and so because we knew we were going to have to switch them back and forth all day, and I was proud. That's one of those moments, you know, back, like I said, years ago, we used to run circle track, and we had some wins and had some championships, some good runs, but the runs you really remember are the ones where you go out and you get beat up.
Right.
You feel like, well, shit, I've tore my car up. We're not going to be able to get a finish this weekend. And you get 4 or 5 guys together and you thrash and get that thing back together and go out and get a solid finish. You may not win,
Right.
but go get a solid finish. Some days like that are almost as rewarding as winning.
Right.
That's the part of racing, no matter what kind of racing you're doing, hill climbs, short course, circle track, drag racing. It's that thrash to get everything together. That's one of the more, it's a pain in the ass,
Right.
but it's so much fun as well.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'm weird.
No, we had a really good time, and it, you know, definitely some tough courses, but overall, you know, Friday was a good day.
Hey, what about our boy? Braden got a second place in the stock class. He done really good. Had he not, he got a little hung up. You were talking about the little technical climb for the cup class that the stock class had to go around, and they had another climb just kind of off to the side of that. He missed that and had to back up.
Right.
Him and Brandon tied for points for the day, so it went to combined times.
Yeah.
3 seconds difference.
Oh my goodness.
3 seconds was the only thing that kept him out of first, and it was that one backup.
Yeah.
So that shows you, it's kind of like golf, man. You got to keep going forward. If you're going backwards, that's bad.
That's right. That's
Always
right.
go forward.
Yeah, and you and I actually got a chance to interview Brandon Friday after the UTV stuff, and I tell you, Brandon is so consistent. He's such a wheel man. You know, he definitely needs to pat himself on the back for being on the podium with Brandon.
Dude, one slip up by our guest here later in the show, Clay Cayson. One slip up. Brandon could very well find himself a 3 times champion in one season.
That's right.
All right, guys, we have got a very special guest with us today. Your 2023 Outlaw UTV champion, Clay Cayson. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are y'all doing?
Good, good.
Doing good.
So I'm going to introduce you a little bit to the people, and then I'll let you follow up on that. So what I've done today is went back the last couple of years. 2022. Did you run Outlaw in 2022?
I think I did like 2 or 3 races.
Okay. So I couldn't find that info. So 2022 National Rock Racing Association UTV Cup class, 2nd overall, 6 podiums, 2 wins, 1 bounty win. This year,
Down more than I do.
This year, Outlaw Champ, you have podiumed every UTV Cup event that you've entered, which is all of them, 5. And we have 1 win. So far this year, you're on a higher track than last year, and we're halfway through. That's a pretty big I don't know, pretty big stage you've put yourself on there.
I don't know what you call it. It's just, I guess this year I've been a little bit more dedicated. I guess. Well, I mean, not dedicated. I was dedicated last year, but I finally got something that I feel a whole lot more comfortable in than I did last year. I guess you could say.
So I know you raced some in 21. You raced the full season in 22. Uh, is it you got a new car this year, right?
Yes, sir.
What's different about this one versus what you were running last year?
Everything's different. This one's my one last year was 64 wide. This new one's 72. My old one was still, my last year one was electric power steering. This one's hydraulic steering. Last year, the shocks on it, my old one, they were basically just factory with some tender springs. This year, it's Gary Hinkle's G-Force. He come out and help me out a little bit this year on some shocks, and they are phenomenal. So,
Well, if you finished second last year with that car, you better win this year with that one.
yeah, I mean, like, there's no excuse for me not to do good. I mean, it's all like the Razor's there. I mean, everything about it's there. It's all on my shoulders now.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah,
Yeah, no
none at
pressure.
all. None at all. So when did you actually start? So I know you run, like I said, some in 21 with the National Rock Race. When did you start like getting into off road or any kind of racing? When did you get the bug?
The racing didn't really come till 2020, 2021. I can't remember if it was 2020. Chris Hickman did an event at Within the Country.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not far from here. And I had the full body that Cody raced actually all year long last year in the stock class. And I got the itch to go try it out, which we trail rode all the time. I've been doing that for forever, but I got the itch to race. And I showed up to that, and I actually won that in the little woods course thing that he did. So I guess that's what kind of sparked it all then.
Shoot, boys, if I show up and win the first race I'm entering, I quit. I batted 1,000. I'd never run another one. Oh man! So I know you don't run a whole lot of the bounty stuff, but you did win. You did win a bounty race last year.
I believe that was in Blue Holler because that was a fun weekend for me. I did good in that and the Cup actually that weekend, I believe. It was hard to let that weekend go without remembering it all the time.
Oh, I would imagine. So, what's your what makes you gravitate towards the Cup class more so than the bounty? You know, I talked to you a little bit about it this weekend. You know, why you didn't enter the bounty, and you're like, dude, I'm tearing my shit up. I'm winning the Cup Series. Makes sense. But you just like the coursey style stuff more better.
Well, the bounty, don't get me wrong, I would love to do the bounty as much, but I guess the reason why I lean toward the Cup more is because of the course, how it's laid out. It's not just one, good hill that you got to climb. I'm not a lucky person, and I'm not saying the bounty's luck at all, but you got to hit the right line, and I'm not the type to hit the right line every single time and get that hit because it just doesn't happen for me. I don't know. I either crash or I succeed in that kind of stuff, like hot springs. I
Well,
hit every spot of the hill and I crashed on it, so I don't know.
we've harped on this on the show quite a bit, and it's gotten us at this point. You know, we've got Dan's got a broken motor mount. Some issues going on with the buggy because we're trying to double duty it. You know, we've talked about Nathan trying to double duty that car. He's having trouble. Like in your position, doing so good in the Cup class, there is no way, unless I had a different car, there is no way that I would run that bounty class, especially after this weekend. Because
Right.
that hill turned out to be crazy.
It was nasty. And hands off to all the bounty guys because they go out and, follow the bouncers and do all of it.
Not me.
So, yeah, I'd like to, but it's just too much wear and tear for me.
Right. Yeah, it is a certain type of commitment, and like you said, it's almost like you want to save the car, and it's like I've heard some people mention in the past, like anytime I can load the car up under its own power is a win.
No,
So even if you do get fourth or fifth in the Cup class, and the car is still salvageable and can drive on the trailer, sometimes it's worth going ahead and bowing out for the weekend.
I just
oh
don't
yeah,
want to
for
hurt like
sure.
hell the next day. Dude,
Right.
y'all are crazy. I don't know, boys. That stuff, I'm too old. Not
Yeah,
happening.
poor old Dan's elbow looked pretty rough after his little roll. Well, not a little roll, it was a good roll.
Oh
I'm
yeah, that Joker swole up like a size of a softball.
Well, between that and you trying to punch a hole through a rock out at Disney last year, I don't. We're gonna have to get you some padding, some arm restraints, or
Yeah,
something.
I thought about just putting some airbags in the car, and then I
You
thought
keep on,
about
I'm gonna
also,
wrap you in a fucking bubble.
yeah. Well, I also thought about just wrapping the whole car in bubble wrap.
Hey,
Whatever
as long as
works.
we can get the logo on there, man, nobody cares.
Yeah,
Whatever works.
that's right.
All right. So another question Dan had on his list, he wanted to talk to you about, and we talked about this a little bit earlier before we had you on, is pre-running. It's a little different for, I guess, the Cup Series than it is the Bounty Series. Madison was trying to make that climb. I think it was Thursday night, Friday night. Friday night. She was trying to make the Bounty Hill climb. I'm of the belief that on the bouncer stuff, especially in the Bounty Hills, nobody needs to touch it till race time. It's especially like this weekend. The dirt was too loose. It just didn't need to be disturbed before competition started. Now the Cup Series, the stock class. What's your take on that? Since it starts at noon, so you've got all the whole morning. Whereas the bounties starts at 9, so you have like no time if you do it the day of. And like I said, I don't even think we should. What do you think about pre-running? There's been some debate this year over whether we should, whether we shouldn't. What's your take on that?
I believe this year I free ran one time, and that was at Hot Springs. And I don't know why I just got the itch, and it helped me out because I actually had like a bolt back out of the back of the clutch cover that weekend,
Hmm.
which was nothing crazy. It slung it out, nothing didn't hurt nothing too bad. But I've just never been the type to pre-run. Really, that was like the first time I've done it all year long. I just don't feel like putting any more abuse on the car than I have to put on it, I guess I would say.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, pre-running, I guess, is just the person. It comes back down to their driving, how they want to drive, and all that. Cody likes to pre-run. I don't. It's just not
Right.
my thing.
Well, that's one reason I wanted to ask that question, because I know that sometimes you're a little bit more reserved about pre-running, but a lot of times we shoot brother Cody out pre-running, and I feel like you've got the same mindset that I do. It's like, uh, I don't want to put the extra wear and tear on the car, but also I've got the type luck that I'm going to tear something up pre-running. The few times that I have pre-run, I just take it slow, take it easy, and I feel like every course is different. I may want to pre-run if I know that there's a jump in the course, and I want to see how the car handles that jump, because a lot of these jumps that are pretty much manufactured the day before our races, and it's kind of hard to just go over something in race speed that's not been compacted. It's just like a fresh dirt. But
Yeah.
I'm also the type guy too that uh, bad luck follows him around, and I'm the one that has a mishap during pre-running, and I don't want to have that kind of luck that I'm going to tear something up that that I can't fix before the race starts.
Yeah, I think it's the only time I've ever encouraged somebody was back last year when Braden started running the Cup class, his very first race. He was nervous. I was nervous for him, and I wanted him to go. You know, it was Wildcat stock class, nothing crazy, but I needed him to understand what he was about to get into at speed.
Right.
And you know, that's a whole nother thing. Running what the stock class runs is very doable, but at speed, it's different. And I wanted him to at least go look at the course, get a feel for it, even just run at half pace. That's the only time I've ever encouraged anybody to do it. I am of the mindset I think we need to just eliminate it all. You know, years ago that wasn't a thing. If you wanted to pre-run, you come to the park the week before.
Right.
You know, when it was open to the public.
Yeah. Which we see that in the Outlaw series. You know, they won't let you own the course with a machine at all. So that's where, you know, both series are totally different. One encourages pre-running and one's totally against it. But, you know, it seems to me like you would have the same driver skill set on both series. You would always see those top drivers on the podium each weekend. And it's almost like the two share different podiums from time to time. Like, you know, the Outlaw stuff, a lot of those guys, you'd see different faces on the podiums because there wasn't pre-running allowed. But it seems like a lot of times with the NRRA stuff, you know, you do see a lot of the same faces on the podium.
You do, but now the stock class, we've had 5 races, 5 winners.
Right.
Cup class has been it's a lot of the same guys, but it is. But there's some new blood coming along. I don't know. I just like it old school. Show up,
Yeah,
run it, walk the course, and run it.
that's right.
I agree with you on that. I just don't pre-run also because, like, I don't want to, like, show your hand in it because, like, you go through there and, like, you might have a line picked out and then you want to try it. About, like, someone like the jump at Hot Springs, nobody did it until because DC had it built and he didn't even jump it
Right.
during the race. So, I mean, it's like you want to try something, but then again, you don't want to show your hand at something and give it up to everybody else. I mean, you want to. I mean, there's a lot of mind games involved in a lot of it too. I think. It ain't just driving; it's a whole lot of mental stuff too.
Speaking of jumps, have you ever raced at Rush?
No, I've never been to Rush.
Yep. You're probably not going to want to pre-run that one. Yeah.
If we're racing that side of
That's what I heard.
the park, I'm excited about it.
That's what
I
I heard.
usually don't get excited about going to Rush, but if we're going to be running the old Race to Riches Hills, I'm excited about that.
That's what I've heard. I am ecstatic for that. I think that is it's not the jump. They call it jumping the gap. It's not a big jump. It's tall, but it's uphill, and that's where the challenge is. It's an uphill jump, and it's probably I don't know what 10 foot maybe, like up, and then probably a 14-foot gap.
Yeah, which I've heard it's gotten a little bit bigger over the years.
Well, that's I figured it would. Of course, you know they'll make it doable.
Right.
They'll get in there with some equipment and make it doable, but it's intimidating. I remember back to that Race to the Riches when you jumped it in the full body.
Right.
You turned the corner and I about threw up. I'm like, you're going into that fucking wall. We're all gonna die. So yeah,
only advice I have is to hold it to the floor and never lift.
Yeah, that's all you can do. All right, Dan had one more question for you. Dan, you want to shoot this one?
Yeah, I know that you know the racing's kind of it's not real new to you guys, but as far as you've been running, you know, we've seen you run some of Chris Hickman stuff at Will in the Country, some of Taylor Pickett's stuff you've ran. some of Clyde's stuff you've ran and the Outlaw stuff you've ran. As far as everybody's combined rules and the way that they run their series, where would you like to see this sport in the next 5 years? Could you give us your idea of what you think the best outcome of this sport could be?
In all honesty, I don't see it being too far fetched, but I would think it would be the coolest thing if it could be almost televised in almost a certain way.
Right.
That's what I would think would be the coolest thing if it would grow that much to like where you could get it on like Flow Racing or something like that to where it was like that serious of a sport out there is what I would like to see it grow to be.
Right.
I think there's some things like that, and that is something that has been tried, worked on, thought about, talked about for years. I think that's the reason Clyde put the production trailer together, 4 years ago now,
Right.
is to make that easier for somebody if they wanted to come in and do that. They could just jump off of his feed.
Right.
The downtime in the races is the killer.
Right.
That is the killer, and there's nothing you can do about that, really. Just the nature of the sport. But man, that would be pretty awesome if we can get this on any kind of national streaming. Because Facebook is Facebook, YouTube is YouTube. I mean that's great,
Yep.
but we're still only getting a small audience, a niche audience. We need to get out. But you just set that up, Clay. You just call you people at Flow, and
I ain't got no people.
Yeah.
we'll make some people.
It sure would be cool though. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah.
Well, and if that happens, if that ever happens, that just brings more money.
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing. Me and Clyde talk a whole lot about the business side of the sport, and sponsors are pulling out of a lot of these off-road races and stuff, not because they don't see the ROI in the off-road races. They're just uncertain of our economy at the moment. Off-road racing is not a priority for some of them. But if we can get in a situation like that and start getting eyes on us in different sectors, then we'll get some of that money back, and maybe some purses can go up, things like that. Because I think that's the big complaint, guys. We've got some expensive ass cars,
Right.
For sure.
$50,000-$60,000 razors, and we're out here racing for $1,500 or something.
Right.
That needs to go up. You're on point right there.
I agree with you on that.
All right. So, Rush coming up in a couple weeks. Everything good with the car? Didn't hurt nothing in West Virginia? Ready to go?
So far, just a couple little dents and dings. I haven't got too in depth with it. I've just changed the fluids and stuff like that. I haven't got too crazy into it yet, but everything so far looks all right. Luckily, after that rock garden beatdown that it went through.
Well, hopefully we'll see you at Rush. I will be there. You all have Hawk Pride on the in-between. I won't be there. Dan will be there. Good luck to you there. You've got a pretty good points lead. Keep it.
Shoot, there's so much could happen in this. They still, what is it, 10 more hills now?
Yep, we're halfway through. Well, 10, eight regular season.
And then 4 at 5. Well,
Then God only knows what's going to happen at finals. But
yeah, 10 there.
Yeah.
It can change in the blink of an eye.
That's right.
Finish races.
Yep.
That's all you got to do. Get them points, baby.
You say that like it's so easy. It's all you got to do.
Dude, listen, I'm 5 for 5. No DNFs over here, bud. All right. We'll let you go. Dude, thanks for coming on and chatting with us for a few minutes. Everybody go check them out. They're going to be at Hawk Pride in a couple of 1st of August. in Tuscumbia, Alabama, National Rock Racing Association. UTV Cup Racing on Friday, UTV Stock Racing on Friday, Bounty Series Saturday, Bouncers Saturday. It's going to be a good time. We'll see y'all later. Thanks,
Have a
Clay.
good one.
See you, Clay.
See y'all.
Bye. All right, guys, that was Clay Cayson. It's the first time having him on. You know, we've talked to him a lot since he's been running the National Rock Racing Association. Got to know him quite a bit for over the last couple of years. I know Dan's around him a whole lot more than I am. But that whole family, super, super nice.
Oh, yeah.
Can't say nothing bad about them at all. And damn, they're fast.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Cody.
Absolutely.
Cody burned it up in the stock class last year.
Yeah, and what was funny about, we were talking about the Cup course. I guess it was Friday, and he was telling us, he's like, if I had just had like a RS1 or a 1K, he's like, this would be the spotlight for it in this rock garden.
Oh yeah.
And that's what they grew up on, and that's what they started racing. And they're both of them definitely are wheelmen.
Yeah, they are super fast, and big things coming out of them. Like I said, he's already matched his podium count, or Clay has already matched his podium count from last year. Cody's not far behind in the Cup Series as well. He's in a new chassis this year, so them boys are fast. Somebody to watch for every week. Appreciate him being on. Dan, good luck in Alabama. Hopefully we get the old pinky fixed all back up and you get to run some laps down there.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
see you at Rush Offroad in 1 month, if not before, buddy.
All right. We'll see you.
See you. All right, guys, time for this week's edition of The Rundown from Good Evening Ranch in Canvas, West Virginia for the National Rock Racing Association's round number 5 in the championship hunt. We're going to go over each division. We'll give you their winners and their points leaders in each class, and we'll get started right from the top with the UTV Youth. Dallas Heckley took the win with her second ever victory. Clara Hoback in second, and Brantley Havens in third. For the year, we have Brantley Havens in first with 455, Clara Hoback in second with 440, and Dallas Heckley in third with 426 points. The VIN class, Charles Karras took the win with Justin Hoback in second, and Gatlin Wills making her debut in the VIN class in third place. For the season, going to be hard to beat old Charles, 468 points, Justin Hoback with 387, and Don Curtis was a 189. The UTV stock class saw its 5th different winner and first win of the year for Mr. Brandon Davis, with Braden Upchurch in second, Daniel Heckley in third, and your favorite co-host Dan Carter rounded out the top 4. Brandon has the season lead with 435 points. Braden Upchurch shot all the way up to second with 405. Jay Stortz fell to third with 403, and Dan is sitting in fourth with 363 points. UTV Unlimited class. Only 4 finishers out of the 12 entries for both runs. Guys, this course wasn't a big hill. It wasn't what we're used to seeing. This was a rock course. This was old school rock racing. Most of it was on the flats. There wasn't much hills in it, but it was rough. Something to watch. Only 4 finishers in the UTV Unlimited class. Cooper Bentley took his second win of the season. Clay Cayson in second. Casey Howell in third. And Brandon Davis was in fourth. For the season, we have Clay Cayson with 476 points, Brandon Davis with 409, and Casey Howell with 382 points. UTV Bounty. Cooper Bentley took his first win of the year, with Josh Kropinski being the first one to climb the Bounty Hill ever. Nathaniel Bell in third place. Casey Howell still remains the lead for the UTV Bounty class with 312 points. Madison King is in second with 253. Cooper Bentley in third with 245. He made a big jump there after missing a couple races at the start of the season. Tyler Bradley fell all the way down to fourth with 230. Dan is sitting in fifth with 207 points after no finishes in the Bounty class this weekend. The big bouncer class, guys. what a show this was. Check out our YouTube, our TikTok, Instagram Reels. We're posting all kinds of videos of this bouncer class. It was epic. Turned into a true bounty hill. Brandon Davis took his first win of the season, and Cooper Bentley finished second place after damn near running my ass over. Those were the only two finishers of both hills all weekend. Clint Garrison took third after a good run on the first hill. He came up short on the second one. For the season, Brandon Davis is your points leader with 459 points. Daniel Heckley in second with 393. And Cooper Bentley has jumped all the way up to third place with 385 points. Guys, our next race is at Hawk Pride August 4th and 5th in Tuscumbia, Alabama for the National Rock Racing Association Round 6. We'll see you there. This episode is brought to you by Rock Life Offroad. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok.